Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 6th day of June in the year 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. Nice day here in the Northeast, 78 degrees at the moment. So hope you're enjoying this day today, and no matter where you are. And we have got a lot to get to today because there is some developing news that broke overnight just after we sent the newspaper to the printer yesterday. So this won't be in this week's editions of the Observer, but we learned last night that Kearny Mayor Alberto Santos has indeed been nominated for a seat on the New Jersey State Superior Court. Now, where that will be is a question that is yet to be answered. And there is a process that goes along here that I'm going to try to explain to you as best as I can. What happens is this nomination came from Governor Phil Murphy, who is way, way behind on judicial nominations. In fact, there was just a big Star Ledger piece on this yesterday about how far behind the judiciary is right now and how there is an absolute shortage of jurists in the state of New Jersey, a lot of which was caused by COVID, of course. So this was probably the worst kept secret, that Mayor Santos was indeed one of the people who was being considered for the bench. And just yesterday, the news was released by the judiciary in New Jersey that the mayor has indeed been nominated by the governor. So what will happen is this. This is how the process works. First, there will be a committee hearing of members of the state Senate where they will interview and question Mayor Santos about his qualifications to become a judge. And if and when he passes that part of the process, it comes to a full vote of the entire state Senate, at which time I pretty much believe, based on what I know, he will get the approval to become a judge. When he is eventually appointed to the bench, he will receive a 7-year term. Those terms last for 7 years. And then I think there's advice and consent as to whether people get another term after that, and subsequently after that, every 7 years up for renewal. And I think they can be questioned again, can the judges. Now, here's where this all gets interesting. If this nomination is brought up for a hearing in this month of June, which is possible, it is very possible, and Santos is appointed to the bench before September, then there would have to, somebody would become the acting mayor between now and November, and there would have to be a special election to fill the unexpired term of the mayor after that. If Santos is appointed to the bench after, I believe the date is the 12th or the 13th of September, then the county committee appoints the mayor for a year, and then in November of 2024, there would be a special election to fill the last year of that unexpired term. So what basically this all comes down to is the mayor, if he is indeed appointed, and it seems no reason why he wouldn't be, to get that he wouldn't pass the nomination process. It all depends on when it happens as to what will happen to fill his seat. So again, if he gets the nomination in June and it's approved before they go out of session, then there would have to be a special election. But if the nomination isn't approved until after the 13th or so of September, then the county committee would pick the mayor for 1 year, and then the special election would happen in 2024. Of course, this then begs the question, who will replace him as mayor? He has been mayor since January 1st, 2000, in the year 2000. So that's 23 plus years that he has been mayor. It's going to be a difficult process. But there are what I see right now as two possibilities in this seat. One is the obvious, and that is the council president, Carol Jean Doyle, who has been a member of the council since 1996, and then the other is Peter Santana. It would be down to those two, and I don't have any inside information as to whether either one of them has any interest in becoming the next mayor. But logically, Carol Jean Doyle has been a councilwoman for 27 plus years. She certainly has the resume, and she certainly has the experience to be given the seat or to challenge for the seat. And I think it would be a well-deserved honor on her part if it does happen. But if she decides that maybe she's had enough, which is always possible, she's in her 70s, and she may just simply decide she doesn't want this anymore. I think the only person ready right now on the council is Peter P. Santana in the 2nd Ward. And his greatest advantage is his ability to speak 3 languages, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. And he is very well respected, and he has a good amount of experience on his own. So it's going to be interesting to see what the level of interest is, whether Carol Jean Doyle is interested in taking the spot if it is indeed her turn, or it will be interesting to see if she decides whether she wants to maybe just retire and go off into the sunset and enjoy her time down the shore in Florida. And if that's the case, I think logically the Democrats would nominate or appoint Peter Santana as well. But again, I don't know if Pete wants it either, because he's got a young son and he's married. He's a young guy himself. So who knows? Do you want to take on the enormous responsibilities of being a mayor at such a young age with a young child? I will have to speak with Pete, and I will reach out to him in the coming days to kind of gauge where he is on that and to see what his interest is. As far as some of the other people who are on the council, I don't know. I just this is what sticks out to me in applying common sense and logic to what would make sense for that. But of course, it is all dependent on whether Al Santos is indeed approved by the Senate committee and the Senate. But logically speaking, that's going to happen. It really is, and it is something that I think he has certainly indeed earned after 23 years of being mayor of the town of Kearny. His shoes will be tough to fill. There is no doubt about that. So whoever becomes the next mayor will have their work cut out for them. But this is his time. After 23 years, Al Santos appears to be heading to the Superior Court of New Jersey. Where exactly in New Jersey that'll be, we don't know. It would be kind of cool if it was in Hudson County, though. So we'll keep you posted on that. If anything else comes up during the course of the next few weeks, before the end of June, when the session ends, we will let you know. And then if it goes into the fall, we will, of course, let you know that before we get there. Now, before we move on to this week's edition of The Observer, I have one more item that I want to talk to you about real quick, because this came to us from Detective Lieutenant Tony Montanari of the Nutley Police Department. And from this is an email that he sent out, and I'm just going to read it to you. It's on the screen right now if you don't happen to be looking at your screen. Your Amazon account has been suspended because we're having some trouble with your current account information. Recover your Amazon account immediately, and there is a link which begins with pxl.to. I've blurred out the rest because I don't want anybody to have this URL and this web address, because it's a bad address, and I'll get to that in a second. Please take action on your account within 48 hours to avoid permanent suspension. Best regards, Amazon Inc. Okay. Now, the part in red comes from Lieutenant Montanari. The above message sent to residents repeatedly, hoping somebody will click on the link provided, has no connection to Amazon. The link directs the recipient to a fraudster attempting to obtain information to commit a theft. Don't reply. If you get this email, don't reply. There was an attempt on your account. Call the company directly and do not click the link. See, there's a couple of alarms here. If you were really receiving an email from Amazon that said that your account was being suspended, first of all, they don't suspend accounts like that. It's like saying we're going to suspend your Social Security number, which is another common fraud. They don't do that. That just doesn't happen, okay? The other thing is, you'll notice that web address begins with pxl.to. If this was truly Amazon, it would say amazon.com and then something after that, okay? And then there's no such thing as a permanent suspension. That this is all nonsense. And then if you look at it, it says amazon.inc. It would be Amazon, Inc. period. There's a major, major typo in there. And while most people look at typos and say, what's the big deal? Those typos are often signs that there is a fraud involved in a case. So, folks, don't buy it. Don't buy it. If you get it, just delete it. It is not legitimate. And it never is. And it's usually somebody, and again, I don't want this to sound bigoted because it's certainly not my intention, but usually when you click on it and they tell you to call, you're going to talk to somebody who has a thick accent that doesn't sound like it's somebody who's in America. It's just the way it is. So please be warned. Please be warned. Ellen Matthew says months ago had that, and Netflix. Netflix is another big-time company that's used to scam people all the time. They tell you that there's something wrong with your account or somebody used your password, some kind of nonsense, and it just is never, ever legitimate. Legitimate companies don't ask for passwords. They don't ask for gift cards and things of that nature. So please, please, please be aware that this stuff is fraudulent, and it looks like they got somebody not too long ago in Nutley. So here's this week's front page, Jesus, the real presence. Some people may look at that and say, wow, what's the Observer doing putting Jesus, the real presence, on the front page? Well, it's pretty logical. This weekend is the Feast of Corpus Christi, or in English, the Body of Christ, and when each year something happens at St. Stephen's, and what they do is they have a procession on Corpus Christi Sunday after the noon Mass, and they process throughout a good chunk of the town, celebrating the feast of the body and blood of Jesus. Now, what Father Joe and Deacon Earl White are trying to do this year is there's something called a Eucharistic revival, and in it they are really looking to explain to people who are Catholic especially, that in the Catholic Church, the Holy Communion that you receive in the form of bread and wine is no longer bread and wine when you receive communion. It is the actual body of Jesus and the blood of Jesus Christ when you drink from the chalice. And that's a big chore. Father Joe was saying I think only 30% of Catholics understand that when you receive communion, you are receiving Jesus basically in the flesh without saying that, and the same in the cup. So there's a lot going on at St. Stephen's, especially after the noon Mass and thereafter this week. I hope you take a look at it. Had a great chance to connect with Deacon Earl White and Father Joe over the last couple of days. They helped and put this all together with me, and I am grateful to all of them. And they are really excited about this weekend's procession in Kearny. And Earl White does a phenomenal job, and so does Father Joe, so I hope you will check that out. Our friend John Jimskowski is here with us. John, always good to see you. Hope you're feeling better and doing better. I know you had a procedure done a couple weeks ago that I didn't read about until after I got off the air. So, John, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you realize that the papers are coming out after around 2 o'clock on Wednesdays now. So don't go over to the CVS too early tomorrow, okay? But we're thinking about you, John, and we hope you are feeling better for sure. We're moving on here. There are 2 new pickleball courts in Belleville. I had no idea what pickleball was until like a couple of years ago, and people were starting to talk about it. But Mayor Mike Melham, as he often does, is ahead of the curve. They installed 2 pickleball courts in Belleville, and more are coming apparently too. So if you're inclined and you like the sport, check it out. There's some fields or courts to play, and I have a trouble saying pickleball court for some reason, but it's a pretty cool sport apparently, and it's the fastest growing in America. 5 million new players in the last year alone. This is a quick piece about Michael Fernandez. Michael is a student at High Tech High School, and he is graduating in June, and at the end of the month he is heading to the United States Naval Academy. What a bright kid. What a wonderful kid. He comes from a great family. Mike Fernandez and Josie Milan Fernandez. We're so happy for the Fernandez family, but especially for Michael, who has done such great things at High Tech, and I'm sure he's going to continue to do that at the United States Naval Academy. It's a very competitive school to get into, a very competitive process, but not only did he do it, he did it with distinction. So we have a very proud town. Wishing you all the best, Michael, when you get out there. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. Tim Wagner is back with a blotter this week after being away for a couple of weeks, so please be sure to check that out. And we also have this story here where Mayor Michael Melham explains a grant that he received. It's what we call a green grant. And this is, of course, a great thing because Belleville got it. North Arlington got it, and a few other towns got it, and you only get these grants if you're really putting in a strong effort when it comes to the environment, and there's no doubt that Mayor Daniel Pronti and Mayor Mike Melham are doing just that. And that's not to say that other people in other towns aren't either, but these are the ones we know about, so check that out in this week's paper. The editorial this week is about the Devils, believe it or not. The Devils are playing the Flyers in February at MetLife Stadium. That's going to be a real big economic boom for the area. And the Rangers and the Islanders will be playing also the day after the Devils and the Flyers play. So that's this week's editorial. So check that out when you get a chance. Our good buddy Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories this week, and you can see those here. Be sure to check them out. We're in the heat of the volleyball season. A lot of great things happening volleyball, especially for the Harrison team. So congratulations to Nick Landy and his kids. There are 2 pages of classifieds as well, as you can see right here. So if you're looking for a place to live or a job or anything of that nature, be sure to check out this week's classifieds. And as always, Lisa has you covered all around with all of that. So I've said a mouthful in 20 minutes. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. John, thank you. Eileen, thank you. I appreciate you both. Both of you are pretty much regulars here. I thank each and every one of you who are watching or who may be watching this on the podcast thereafter. Don't forget, if anything happens during the course of the week, we'll join you live, and then we'll see about what's going on with Mayor Santos and his quest to become the next judge or one of the next judges in the state of New Jersey. And as soon as we know anything, we're going to let you know. From the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Take care, everybody.